Good morning all of you. We are continuing with the Socho's essay, Nature of the Linguistic Sign. We have finished off almost the main concepts in the beginning but kept the final portion of the three theories of representation for later. And today we will deal with the three theories of representation, major theories of representation and some of the important concepts, the main or the essence like concepts that come in Socho we are going to discuss today, and we have the slide for the same. Okay, yeah. So first I would like to talk about the three theories of representation. So here we have three different terminologies to refer to three theories. The first one is reflective theory. Please note down, first one is reflective or mimetic theory. Mimesis we have already come across in classic criticism with we have already come across the term here, mimesis, idea, imitation of the an action and all with the Aristotle, but here the term is common one, so reflective theory, once you listen, hear what it is, you will understand what it's meant by. Second one, the second term is intentional theory, intention, we mean something, intention. Okay, then third one is constructivist or constructionist theory. So what all these are? Here Socho gives us different characteristics or the way we use language using these three theories and their explanation. First one is reflective theory. Reflection as a term, the meaning hope you know. Reflection. We have a reflection. When you look at a mirror, you have the reflection of your own self, the image that is getting reflected in the mirror. So that is the normal way we use reflective or the term reflection. And how it is important in the context of language, the discussion of language, we see meanings pre-exist language according to reflective theory. So first argument Socho makes about or in the context of reflective theory is meanings pre-exist language according to this. That means in the mirror, for an image to be created, something, some object or a person, someone should be there, right? So in the same way, he says that, Socho says that meanings pre-exist language according to. So according as if meanings are already there and you create a language, you find a language, you find out the rules and you make a language available so that meanings are already there, whether you speak that language or not, whether I talk about you or a book or pen or not, it is already there as a reality. That is the first thing. So reflection, the concept is a basic level of your reflection is there on the mirror. You have to be there in front of the mirror first. So of course that is not the reflection. See, reflection is not the first thing. In the same way, before language there are realities as such. So meanings are already there. The things, objects and their meanings are already there. So wherever there is a meaning, there is a structure. So in the same way, a human being or a chair or a book or something, whatever is getting the image of whatever is getting reflected in the mirror, there is any object, a person, someone is already there. In the same way, language is only a mirror which imitates and creates reality. Is it the flesh and blood human being that again in the mirror as a reflection? No. So in the same way, language also just reflects a reality. If in a language you talk about a human being, a phenomena, a bag or book or cycle or bus, whatever it may be, there is something as a reality already and it just reflects as a mirror does with some objects, some real objects. Okay, a person who stands in front of the mirror, you can go and touch. The person is real. The person is already there. Or a chair. the images of which is getting reflected. You can touch the chair, but what about the image inside that? It's not real. It's almost like virtual. You cannot always touch. So in the same way, before a language, all these realities pre-exist. Okay, even though if you do not go in front of a mirror and have your reflection there, you are there as a reality. Okay, and if a chair is not kept in front of a mirror and its image is not created in the mirror, still the chair is there as a reality. In the same way, we have all the objects, all these other real objects or persons, whatever it may be, that is the pre-existing as a reality. So it's just about language function. He says in the reflective theory, the context of reflective theory, he says about it's being a mirror. It's just a language. It functions as a mirror. Okay, language. Okay, and second one is intentional theory. It's very important. Intentional. What do you mean by the term intentional? Intentional is a very important term. Intentional means, normally we talk it's very deliberate, intentionally. I didn't do it intentionally. That means I didn't do it deliberately. Manapuro, karidikutti ennokkella word aanu. Intentional. In that sense, how he connects it with the language, let us see. Intentional theory. It is the intention of the author or speaker. Okay, a person who uses language, or normal speaker, or an author who writes something to create meaning. It is the intention of the author or speaker to create meaning. That's why we try to make sense. It's not just about authors or their writings that we prefer making sense or meaningful, uttering something meaningful. Otherwise, you are just talking, you are just uttering some words without having any connection, just blah blah blah. That doesn't make any meaning. But you need to communicate, and for that you need a language and a proper way of its using. Right. So here, of course, when a person tries to communicate, whether he or she is an author or just a speaker, you are just communicating with your friends or your teachers, whoever it may be. You have an intention of making meaning. You have an aim. Okay, of course, the very simple meaning is aim. Okay. And when we talk to people, we believe that we express our ideas. That is the another part of this. Sometimes you tell, oh, I didn't mean that, but they interpret it in that way. Sometimes you say, oh, I didn't mean at all. You please don't mistake me. Sometimes even people become very intolerant when you say something which you didn't even mean, but you wanted to mean something, you wanted to communicate something, and you do not get that, and that is the part at which your intention fails. But you have an aim of communicating something, and we cannot always say that you should take the meaning that I wanted to. People they have the freedom to take it or interpret it in any way they want to. But when it fails at a very radical level, the communication gap and the very problematic situations arise. So what does Saussure say about this? Another thing, all these theories, everything, even though Saussure puts into new words or some very scientific words you see, like all these are very simple facts about language which we are already aware of. Okay, a person who wants to communicate has an intention to communicate his meanings in a proper way. No one has to tell us that, yeah, this is like this, that. But this is about making it into under the terminology of some theories, that's all. Okay. And we can speak language only individually. One other thing. We believe that we express our ideas. Whenever we communicate something, we believe that, yeah, what I meant was communicated. But what happens, we can speak language only individually. So individual language usage, we always speak language only individually. Even just think about the people singing song, a choir. A common song, chorus or something. When you sing, even then you have individual differences. Your voices differ. Sometimes some of you cannot unite or sing at the same simultaneously. All these differences are there. So same with the speech as well. So language exists in the mind. Language exists in the mind. Very common arguments, but we make it under a theory, that's all. And language, according to Saussure, is a system of differences. That's a very important idea. So very important sentence in the discussion on Saussure. Language, according to Saussure, is a system of differences on which we are going to discuss our very important concept, langue and parole. L-A-N-G-U-E, langue. L-A-N-G-U-E, langue and parole. G-U-E, langue. P-A-R-O-L-E, parole. So what is langue and what is parole? Langue is a fund accumulated by, members of the community through the practice of speech, a grammatical system existing potentially in every brain, or more exactly in the brains of a group of individuals. For the language is never complete in any single individual, but exists perfectly only in collectivity. You didn't understand anything, but simply I tell you, langue is the language system, the very language with its rules, syntax. You learn it in linguistics, syntax, morphology, structure, all those you learn. And in English, that is its langue, with all its rules, how to use here, how to use this word with the other word, how not to use the one with the other. So all this grammatical rule system, everything of a particular language comprises of its langue. So almost like a system of, a kind of unified, you get it ready-made. You get it. So yeah, this is English language. If you want to communicate in this, you study its grammar and then you use it in this way. You study some words and you use it in this way. That is the langue available. Same with the Malayalam also. It has its own, Malayalam has its own rules and other formation rules, language system, everything. Words, grammatical system. So every language possesses this. But what about parole? What about parole? It is an individual expression of language. That is very different. Parole is the individual expression of language. That means how let me take some names from here. Safwan speaks English, how Hiba speaks English, how I speak English, how Meftaf speaks English, how Fatima Noora speaks Malayalam, I speak Malayalam, Irfana speaks Malayalam in a different way. So that's not about the vast difference as you see between Malayalam and English. But Malayalam itself, when one speaks, it may be an entirely different way the other speaks. Of course, I talk about my Malayalam. So exactly, excellent Kannada Malayalam. Some people make it colorful with sometimes according to situation, sometimes. And of course, in official context, we have to. Okay, but there are different individual differences, even the sound differences we can calculate in this way. Parole. So parole, just think about lang and parole, you have to learn together, and I will tell you, get you a simple trick to remember. Parole, it's almost like a person, a criminal who is imprisoned can go for parole, individually only. So that is the individual way of using language. അങ്ങനെ ഓർമ്മിക്കുക, പരോൾ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ വേർഡ് നമ്മൾ ഒരാളെ ഒറ്റക്കല്ലേ പരോൾ ഇറങ്ങുക. അപ്പോൾ ആ രീതിയിൽ പരോൾ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ യൂസ് ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, ആൻഡ് ലാംഗ്വേജ് ഈസ് ഓഫ് കോഴ്സ് ദ ലാംഗ്വേജ് സിസ്റ്റം. നിങ്ങളോട് നമുക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു തരുന്ന റൂൾ സിസ്റ്റം, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദ അത് വലിയ ഡെഫിനിഷൻ. യു പ്ലീസ് ഡോണ്ട് ബി വറീഡ് ടു സീ ദ ഡെഫിനിഷൻ. ഇറ്റ്സ് നത്തിങ്, ബട്ട് ഐ വിൽ ഗെറ്റ് യു അഗെയിൻ. ഫണ്ട് അക്യുമുലേറ്റഡ് ബൈ ദ മെമ്പേഴ്സ് ഓഫ് ദ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി. That is almost like, English speakers all together decide that, is should be with all the singular subjects. Am should be with only I. Had should be with all the subjects. All these rules we have we avail ready-made manner, in a ready-made manner. So that is the grammatical system. Potentially, even in our brain it comes more exactly in the brains of a group of individuals, for the language is never complete in any single individual. Can any one of you claim that I know all the terms in English? No. You may know some 1,000 words, some other person may know some other 1,000 words, some other person may know 10,000 words, but it is never complete in any individual. So that its system, that the system is needed, not just with English. I told you this is almost applicable to almost all the languages, not just English. Okay, so of course Sochaux wrote this essay in French, and that's why we have difficulty to analyze the essay in the beginning. Instead we take the points and make it clear first. Otherwise it's very difficult because the terms even are not familiar to us. Okay, so that's all with the lang and the parole. And for more clarification he gives two other concepts like a paradigmatic and a syndicmatic axis that you can see here in the picture. You please see here, just above the tree you can see I drew a cross mark there, and you can see it's not a cross mark, actually it's an axis I drew. You may be aware of the idea, axis, paradigmatic and syndicmatic axis. That are the two terms, please note down, paradigmatic and syndicmatic. So paradigmatic is the vertical line and syndicmatic is the horizontal line you see. Okay. Yeah. So what is this? And you may think what the hell all these terms and how we can. It's just simple. I have written the examples there. So under paradigmatic or along with the paradigmatic, you see selection as a term written in red ink, and syndicmatic again you can see the term combination again written in red ink. That means paradigmatic is the axis of selection. Syndicmatic is the axis of combination. Very simple. Those who learned already, those you people who have already learned linguistic can make it very clear. It's very easy for you to. It's not nothing else but paradigmatic axis is the it's a kind of selection you are making. I love India. He loves India. She loves India. Just see the words I, he, she, all these are available as to be used as subjects for a sentence, or as see, you know, these are used pronouns. These are pronouns used instead of nouns. So you know these words are available and you make the selection accordingly. You want to talk about yourself, then I love India. You want to talk about another boy, he loves India. She, and again about a girl you select the word she. So it's about you making a selection, and just to read these three sentences that we have made. I love India. He loves India. She loves India. Please note down pure simple present tense. So with the I you can use only love India, but with the he, she, any other singular subjects you. So this is a combination process that happens or that takes place on a syndicmatic or a horizontal plane, and the selection you make on in a vertical plane. Okay, if it is a Malayalam sentence we are making, again combination also we may not be able to identify much difference. ഞാൻ ഇന്ത്യയെ സ്നേഹിക്കുന്നു, അവൻ ഇന്ത്യയെ സ്നേഹിക്കുന്നു, അവൾ ഇന്ത്യയെ സ്നേഹിക്കുന്നു. എല്ലാം same ആണ്. All these are same. But here we have in English it's all rolled in this way. So the combination is much more complicated sometimes. Otherwise it's fine also. We love India. Again a selection is happening there at the paradigmatic axis, and a combination is going on at the horizontal, that is the combination syndicmatic axis. Okay, that's all. So that is all with the paradigmatic and the syndicmatic axis. Let me just read the definition you get here. It's along the paradigmatic axis. Each sign in a given sequence is selected by virtue of its similarity to some and different from other signs in the sign system. Just see paradigmatic. You make a selection, a sequence selected. I, he, she, we, they, many selection. You can make different selection according to the availability from the sign system. We have a sign system in the language. All these pronouns can represent something. You have that sign system already, you know the idea, and you make the selection in this way on the vertical plane. That is the paradigmatic axis. And what about syndicmatic axis? The sign is along the syndicmatic axis. The sign is chosen in the way or combined with the other signs according to the rules of syntax. You know, syntax is the rule of making structure sentence in the sentence grammatical. Actually, syntax is highly connected with our grammatical rules. According to the rules, syntax in order to form the sequence of signs which comprise the utterance in question. Sequence of signs. That means, of course, syntax. According to syntax, we make this difference in love, loves, she, when she loves. She is she, when it is a subject she, it is singular, we know, and of course we have to add does plus the main verb. Love plus does is equal to loves. He does plus love is equal to loves. I do plus love is equal to love. So this is the syntax which we are already aware of, and we do not have to make more hue and cry about the combination if we are aware of the syntactic rule. So this happens usually, and we didn't talk about paradigmatic and syndicmatic axis until Saussure. That's all is the difference. Actually, Saussurean essay, even though you see a lot of technical terms, it's not really difficult. Here he states something which we are aware of, which we usually use. The way we use our language, the ideas which we hold about the language, but in a very different manner with new terminologies. But the arbitrariness of linguistics, arbitrariness and those are his concepts. Of course, those concepts. These concepts also stating something only, then only it becomes theory. Otherwise, these are there. In that regard, everything is already there in the world, universe. But unless and until somebody introduces it as a new concept, that doesn't become a matter of discussion. What's the presentation? Please make it clear. I want it very urgently for the next part also. So hope that is clear. With the paradigmatic and the syntagmatic axis, that is clear. So that comes under intentional theory. Intentional, you're trying to make meaning, and of course we can have the discussion under that theory, this parallel or paradigmatic and syntagmatic axis. Hope you know why it comes under intentional theory, because you are trying to make meanings. And of course, when you use the system of a language, or when you use it individually, that is a kind of attempt to make meaning. And again, paradigmatic and syntagmatic axis, the combination and selection also, you are trying to make it very meaningful. Okay, so I love India. When you say I love India, it's wrong according to the syntax. So make it more meaningful, more perfect with the rules you know. And that's what you mean by perfection in language, the attempt at least to make it more clear and perfect. Okay. So, and third theory is a constructivist theory. What do you mean by constructing something? You construct a building. Very simple idea. Again, the same idea with which we can talk about the theory here. Everything is evolving the idea of constructivism. No fate system is found by individual, but we can see a man who has literally made it. Of course, the languages, whichever ideas, some religious practices or some belief systems, or all these, it's not something found. You cannot always say that, some person found America. Of course, people who we talk about, we assign that, yeah, they found it. It means it is already there. But what about a language? You construct it. There we can see a man who has literally made it. That's why in the discussion of grammar, we say, who told that this only is can be used here, only have can be used in this way, have should be used there or here. So this is about, we are using it, we cannot change it, but we can see, of course we can locate a man or person who has literally made it. Some person has already, some person years before, centuries before, they created these rules and we are following it as the users of the language. It's not as you talk about rainfall and some natural other phenomena. No, it's not very innocent phenomena, as language is not at all an innocent phenomena. Maybe non-verbal communication may be somewhere even more innocent. But here it's not innocuous. That's a term. Nothing in the world is innocuous. Everything is ideological. Everything is ideological. So we produce meaning. So we produce meanings. It's not about you have it readily available as you have rainfall. No. You produce meanings. You produce meanings so that it's according to the ideology. Now you are not really unaware or unfamiliar with the idea of ideology. In the context of Marxist criticism, I taught you about ideologies, false consciousness. Something you take to believe, you are ready to willingly believe, but that's not actually natural. The working class people thinking that, yeah, this is our fate, we are supposed to serve them. We are not supposed to make raise voice against them. It's not, this is what you mean by it, false belief. It's a false consciousness. Okay, and that gives strength to, more strength to whom? The powerful classes. That's why ideology. Just think about the masculine language, that is male oriented language. Everywhere you have representation. It's chairman. Now we have chairperson, postman, even if it is a woman. So this language is not at all, it's very highly ideological it is. And he says it is constructivist nature of the language that is pointed out here. Okay, so that's all with the three theories of representation in social. Okay. Yeah. Here, the main idea, the last and final part of the essay, is concept of sign, signifier and signified. Okay, so, and we have very beautiful pictures drawn by our classmates here, and I'll explain with the help of those pictures as well as the board image. So, these terms are very new to you. Sign, of course you know, but signifier, signified, those are not very familiar, I think. So what we are going to do here is, I will talk about, it's a brain. We want an actual object. I have kept a guava here, wanted an apple, but I kept a guava here. I don't know, while you are making the presentation, it's possible for me to make it clear if I make it available here. I don't know, just try with that. Just close the presentation for the time being, so that let me show you this object here that I have kept with me. Can you see here? It's an actual object. Instead of an apple, I took another fruit. Okay, and you have to tell, is it clear? Did you see this? It's a guava, it's a fruit, but just think that it's an apple. We are going to have a discussion on the apple, and what you saw in my hand was an actual object. Can you ever say that actual object is an apple? See, you just think that's an apple lying on the table, or a guava lying on the table. That's an actual object. But when someone tells you about an apple, that there comes an image in your mind. right? Is it the actual object? No. The fruit that I have in my hand is with all the, like, see, some black color is there, some other spots and marks are there. It's not very clear. Sometimes if I opt to eat this, I'll have to remove the outer cover, because it's not very clear. It's something like attacked by some birds or something, almost on the mode of rotting. Okay, so but when you talk about an apple, of course an image comes to your mind, a very perfect, sometimes very perfect apple. Not always very perfect, I'll tell you, but there comes a concept, a kind of concept that comes to your mind. And at this very point, I would like you people to look at the 3 trees drawn by the students in your own class and sent to me last week as per my request. Just see, every class, every year, while teaching social, I called someone of, this time I made it 3 of you to do, but every time I call one student to be in front of the board and draw a tree according to her or his idea. And every time we get trees of the kinds which are drawn by the students in your class. See, there is some consistency in this. And of course we have very prominent or privileged situation here in Kerala to discuss Socialian essay, especially when it is about this tree. We have our Kerala, the state is termed after the tree called the Kera Vriksha, means coconut tree. And none of you, just think, if I have given this 58 of you this assignment, most of you, I'm sure, damn sure, 55 of you would have drawn the trees of the kind that was drawn by the classmates. The 3 trees you see under the bottom part of our slide. So why didn't anyone draw a coconut tree? So that is the part at which Social talks about the concept and the sound image. But the concept, that's not the actual object. You see numerous number of trees, but we have somewhere at a very young age or in some other picture books, or most often we see trees of this kind. Not a coconut tree, but the trees with a forested trunk and a very thick and densely covered leaves. And we have the tendency, immediately when you hear the term tree, someone tells you to draw, you draw the concept that you have in mind, and that comes in this form almost always. And I didn't see any student all these years drawing a coconut tree. The possibility is 20% at least, as we are in Kerala. Otherwise, there is no chance at all, because no one even thinks about other kinds of trees. Only these kinds of trees, their appearance can vary from different sizes, the shape, size. But we have the tendency to draw these kinds of trees, and that's why Social says the concept you have whenever you hear a sound, whenever you have a word. See, the apple on the table, you just think it's an actual object. But apple in our mind when we talk about. Okay, some of you, just think that one of your parents, brings a bag full of apples, and all of them have in a very bad condition. Just see, sometimes it happens when we buy fruit. Sometimes it is not at all in an edible condition. Okay, and that student, when he or she is talked about, okay, you see, you just think that you have seen some worms moving inside the apple once you took it for eating. and that image of apple that comes to your mind, the concept that immediately brings you when you hear the term apple is very bad. You are not at all very happy to think about that even. Sometimes we might come across people who give up eating something for the whole of their life for an abhorrent episode at one point. Sometimes while eating they might have consumed some worms with that. That happens. Of course, I had a relative who took a very beautiful mango, very beautiful outside, and so that the person didn't take care and began to just cut and began eating. But inside it was completely a network of worms, and she was somehow stuck with her. When that happens, so of course the concepts that an image that the concept that is brought by a word, when you hear it, that varies from person to person. And a person who is very fond of apple, who gets very beautiful and very healthy, very perfect apple, of course the concept in a very different way. And that is why you have that in our minds, the apple tree or whatever it may be in our mind, when we talk about it is a concept. It's not the actual object. Can you ever claim that all the trees you see every day on road, in front of your yard, in the campus, all the trees look like this? No. But this is a concept that is already there in you. And that is why we formulate ideas accordingly.